I'm not here to give anyone any false hope. In fact, the chances are that TimeSplitters 4 is not in development. But this is where we come in. We live in a new age, an age where social networking websites can start a revolution and change a government. So why then can that same social networking website not be used to give TimeSplitters fans a voice? It's no secret that long before games are even considered for development, they first decide, is it a viable commodity? In other words, will the game sell? And that's where we come in. We need to show that we still support TimeSplitters and that we will buy TimeSplitters when it comes out. You can do this by following the link at the bottom of your screen and click the like button. It's as easy as that. You can do this now, or you can stick around and I'll explain what I think a new TimeSplitters game should be like. It would be great if someone from Crytek watched this video just to see what a real TimeSplitters fan would like to see in a new TimeSplitters. This is not footage from TimeSplitters 4, this is gameplay from Reg. And I'm not saying that Reg is anywhere near as good as TimeSplitters was, far from it, but it does share a lot of characteristics with TimeSplitters, which is proof that a TimeSplitters game can work in this day and age. Some examples of the characteristics are fixed guns. Of course you can iron sight in Reg, but you don't need to, and we'll get back to more on that later. Another thing is the look and feel of Reg. Some of the enemies just look like they've been copy and pasted right out of TimeSplitters. This enemy just looks like a revamped version of one of the splitters from TimeSplitters 3, right down to the blue energy bolts it shoots at you. And these enemies all start spawning into this level of Reg whenever you've made your way to the end of the level and collected the item you need, which is pretty much the setup for most of the old traditional TimeSplitters levels. So in many ways Reg is a glimpse of what TimeSplitters could look and feel like in this generation. But of course it's not enough just to release a new TimeSplitters, it needs to be the same as it was, and I can't emphasise that enough. In fact, I've compiled a list of some of the things that a new TimeSplitters should have. The number one thing on the list, which it has to be, is a fast-paced shooter. TimeSplitters has always been about, you guessed it, time. And I don't mean the story, I'm talking about the gameplay too. The level on screen now is Robot Factory from TimeSplitters 3, and it's a perfect template for what a TimeSplitters level should be about. I'll let this level play throughout this video so you can get a better understanding of how a TimeSplitters level should play. The second thing is fixed guns, or at least like Reg, make it so that iron sights aren't necessary. This might sound like nitpicking from someone who hasn't moved on from older games, but it isn't. There's a time and place for iron sights, the time being when you're camping, and the place being a Call of Duty multiplayer match. That is not what TimeSplitters is about. You barely have enough time to shoot the enemies, never mind taking time to stand still and aim at them. In fact, if you do stand still for too long in TimeSplitters, the chances are you'll get overwhelmed by enemies, which will slowly eat away your health until you can't make it to the exit. Remember that traditional TimeSplitters levels don't have checkpoints, so when you die you have to start the whole level again. And this brings me on to number 3, respawning enemies. This is something I've complained about in other videos about other games, but that's just because there's a right way of doing things and a wrong way. There is nothing in a first person shooter that will raise more panic than being chased out of a level by enemies which have just spawned in behind you. We have seen this scenario time and time again in James Bond movies, but no game can emulate this quite as well as TimeSplitters. Of course Perfect Dark and GoldenEye can be like this, but only really when you're speedrunning the levels, and with TimeSplitters you have no option but to speedrun levels, and that's when the game is at its best. This list could go on and on. I could add things like bots, challenges, classic mode, but anything after the 3 things I've just mentioned is really nitpicking. As long as they keep the core values, a next gen TimeSplitters could be a refreshing change from all the COD clones developers are endlessly knocking out. So if you would like to see a return of one of the best first person shooters, then please share this video and raise awareness. Remember to like the Facebook page, and if any of the developers are watching this, please keep the core values of the TimeSplitters franchise. Otherwise it will be a pointless exercise.